Hello and welcome back to the Week 14 NFL preview show. We are looking ahead, looking at Week 14, and trying to figure out the top matchups for both running back and wide receiver one for this coming up week. Now let's dive in. I'm your host, Tyler Weeman, at FlatTyler83 on Twitter and your DFS sites. Come join us at Lionstar. We do have a free 7-day trial through the app stores, iOS or Android app. Go through them. If you've never tried us before, you can get 7 free days. Now let's dive in. Look at this top team defense tool and some of the defense adjusted metrics. So RB1, our top 5 spots, we got Alvin Kamara at very top versus the good old New York Football Giants, who have just been getting crushed. They're giving up 129.8 yards per game over the last 4 to go along with 1.5 touchdowns and 37 yards receiving. Fire up Kamara against the Giants. The other aspect here that may go overlooked from people is there's going to be no Taysom Hill, so there's less vulturing for touchdowns. Kamara has had a giant workload week in and week out, but has not scored since week 6. If he's able to put up one of these, 18, 30, 19 point games without a touchdown, but then or adds the touchdown, you're looking at a mid-25s, maybe mid-30s score, and that's pretty much a must-have if he's scoring that. Alvin Kamara is definitely in an interesting spot. The team defense tool is set to last 5 games, just so you know. I have put it there because I wanted to give it a little difference than what we have, show some of the adjustments that may be going on for these teams. Next, we got Isaac Guerendo, 5,400. CMC got hurt. Jordan Mason got hurt. Both are going on the IR. CMC's actually already on it. Jordan Mason is expected to go back on it, and that leaves Guerendo as the RB1. If he is available on your fantasy leagues, go grab the man. He's in a great spot. The Bears giving up 128.3 rushing yards per game over the last 4 to go along with 40 receiving yards and 0.5 touchdowns per game. Guerendo has had some opportunities. 10 carries, 99 yards. 14 carries, 84 yards, 3 receptions, 17 yards, and a touchdown as RB2. And then last week, 4 for 19, 1 reception for -3 and a tutty. The dude has done work every time he's got a chance. I love his upside. The guy is like 225 pounds and runs a sub 4.4. He's a beast, and he is going to be very high owned for good reason this week. Next, we got Tyrone Tracey, New York Giants versus the Saints. So Tracey is playing over 70% of the snaps. He's in a good spot versus the Saints. If they are able to stay in this game, which it is likely versus the Saints, as they're not good, it's a very interesting spot. Saints are allowing 113 yards on the ground, 15 yards receiving, and 1.3 touchdowns per game. The touchdowns are really what put the Saints up there. Tracey does have the ability to get in end zone. I just wouldn't go too hard on him, as you're really dependent on those touchdowns, and you still got to deal with the New York Giants offense. Next, we have DeAndre Swift against the 49ers. 49ers have given it up a little bit on the ground lately, as they are a beat-up defense, a beat-up team, giving up 129.3 rushing yards per game and 1.8 touchdowns per game. Now, I like this spot for Swift. One thing I have to bring up, though, is him and Roschon Johnson have started kind of splitting snaps a little bit. It's more of like 65-35 or 60-40 type split these days. So it is not going to be all DeAndre Swift, but he can absolutely get there in limited volume. He just needs to get a couple, get a tutty and get into some open space and he can bust a big one. So interested in Swift as well. And last but not least, the man, the myth, the legend, Saquon Barkley. What can you say about this guy? He has been absolutely incredible all season long. Now he has an amazing matchup versus the Panthers. 156 yards per game on the ground, 41 receiving yards, 0.5 touchdowns per game over the last 4. Over the last 3, over the season, they're allowing 1.3 per game to the running back. It is a great spot for Saquon Barkley. The only worry is Saquon Barkley wanting the young boys to eat because the Eagles have a big lead and they want to take it a little easy in, the fourth quarter or something like that. But Saquon should be able to break a big one. He should absolutely get his, and it's in a great spot for the Quadfather. Now, let's move it on to WR1. On the top, we got Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. was this close of having an absolute giant game last week. He still got it done. He got 10 targets and 4 receptions for 76 and a tutty, but he was real close to a huge one, and the the Titans have been giving it up in the air lately. 160 yards a game, 1.3 touchdowns to the wide receiver. If anybody in this wide receiver core is able to beat the Titans, it is Brian Thomas Jr. in a great spot. The one issue I have, or factor that scares me a little bit, is it could be Mac Jones starting. And if that's the case, the routes that he was running with Mac were just shorter. He was not getting down the field. So that is one scary aspect of going with Brian Thomas Jr. I do not expect good old Trevor Lawrence to play. If he does, absolutely fire up BTJ because he'll be going deep. But I will have interest in in BTJ, even if Mac does, in fact, start. Next, we got Tyreek Hill versus the Jets. Tyreek is starting to show a little signs of life. 9 targets, 83 yards, and a tutty. 2 weeks before that, 7 for 61 and a tutty. He is getting some additional targets finally, getting a little bit of love. We need to more his roll his way, though. But the Jets have allowed 160 yards per game over the last 4.5 touchdowns. So Tyreek is in an interesting spot. Now, on the other side of that Jags, Brian Thomas Jr. spot, we got Calvin Ridley. We got a nice little correlation. You could go Ridley and BTJ, hope for some big plays, and let this game go wild. The Jags haven't been able to stop anybody all year long through the air, and now they get Will Levis, who isn't great, but I think he can beat this Jags team. They're allowing 190 yards per game to the wide receiver and 1 touchdown per game. The most likely in this receiver core to get it done is Calvin Ridley. All we need is Westbrook Nakina to stop stealing some touchdowns from him. Calvin Ridley is in a great spot. Definitely look for him to have a big one. Next, we got Amari Cooper. The one thing with Cooper is playing time. He has not been playing a ton. Part of that this last week could have been that it was snow and they were just really changing out some receivers. But that is the big issue with Amari Cooper here, is the amount of work he's getting. Only 3 targets in the last 2. Only 2 the week before that. We really need him to get out there, play some more, and get some more targets. Does look like he's totally healthy now. He's in a good spot versus the Rams. If he's going low owned at 5,100, you got to be kind of interested in going with some Amari Cooper here. Last but not least, we got DJ Moore. Look, DJ Moore has been unlocked with the firing of Waldron. The Bears have made huge coaching changes, and now DJ Moore all of a sudden goes with a 30-pointer and then a 24 with 16 targets last week. The guy has got a ton of targets lately. I would be going back to the well here with DJ Moore, even though it is against the 49ers. 49ers at least have given it up a little bit lately. That will do it for us today. It was a good one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will be back next week. Peace.